Well, congratulations. Just give us your sort of summary of that game first, please.
Yeah, ugly. An ugly game. Probably for a neutral, probably one of the best games to watch. But look, I previewed, obviously, Salford's last sort of 5 or 6 games. They were, I think, well, even when they played Leeds actually away at Headingley, they were only 10-4, I think, at half-time. You know, a red-hot Leeds side. They've obviously beat Warrington. They probably should have beat Catalans. They are in the fight. I said to Rose afterwards, he's great at creating that siege mentality at Salford, and no matter which players they've put out, they've just competed so hard. They compete so hard over and over again, and you've got to be on. You've got to be on to win. I spoke to lads about that before the game and at half time. I said, look, I just think the way they're playing, they're going to make it. It's going to go down to the wire, and inevitably it did. I thought wasn't very patient with the ball. You know, the way we started the game, we give 3 penalties away. We dropped the ball. I think we're completing at 56% at one point in the first half. It was just the opposite of how you play wet weather rugby. Whereas in the second half, I think we got to grips with it. I still don't think we attacked very well, but what we did is we got to grips with getting some field position, playing a little bit wet weather rugby. But look, I thought Salford were great again. They just what that club have gone through this year is somebody who, it's a club. I didn't probably finish on the greatest of terms with Salford. I ended up coming here, but it's a club that I still hold quite close to my heart. Really, some of the best times I've had really were at Salford. Me and my wife loved this time there, and it's been devastating what they're going through. And it's not good for rugby league what they've been going through. But the effort they've been putting in, it's been a credit. Rolls and the players have been a credit.
You mentioned some of the attacking sets and just putting that ball down, particularly in the second half. I couldn't help looking over at you a few times and seeing the frustration on your face. Was that possibly the most frustrating 70 minutes of the season up until those last 2 tries?
Oh, there's been some frustrating times this year, mate. Don't you worry about that. The lads, they just clipped up me jumping around when we scored the try, but I think, like you said, I think if he'd have looked over for 70 minutes of the game, he'd have seen me kicking the chair. I think I might have broke one. I don't think I did, but nearly did. I'm kicking chairs and kicking walls and just frustrated, really, because I just knew if we got to grips with the way that we held the ball, the way that we transitioned the ball over, then we would have fallen over the line. But we just weren't playing wet weather rugby. We weren't transitioning very well with the way we kick, with the way we turn the ball over. Then we're giving penalties away on play 1, play 2, and I just thought if we'd have got that little aspect of his game right, I think I'm not sure the score reflected the game anyway, but I think we would have run away with it if we'd have got to grips with that area at the side of the game.
It seemed like you just needed a moment of magic on one of those passes to stick.
Yeah, we just need to show some patience. Like I said, I think we'd have fallen over the line eventually. The ruck speed we got at some points, we created loads of ruck speeds, and Zach would just basically burn them in around A and B, and they were struggling really at times. But then what we'd do is we'd turn the ball over, or we wouldn't turn the ball over on our terms and relieve the pressure a little bit. And like I said, I think if we'd have been a little bit better with the way we attacked, then I think we would have probably scored more points. But look, all credit to Salford. They've been fantastic all year, even when they've had loads of kids out and been pumped. Their efforts, and you've never doubted their effort.
I know you spoke a lot about Leroy in the build-up during the week. Just how pleased are you that you got to give him that sort of fitting send-off with the win here?
Oh, look, I don't think I'd have been able to live myself out of the coach that lost his last ever game. What he's done for the club. I mean, look wrong. The club have been really good with Leroy. There's a mutual appreciation, but what he's done for not only this club, but just rugby in Huddersfield. He is Mr. Huddersfield. I'm very fortunate. My debut for Huddersfield was with Leroy's debut. We made his debut in 2008 against Leeds. I've a packed out stadium actually that game. I think there were like 16,000 or something like that. So I've gone through a journey with him. We've gone through a journey. My time at Huddersfield's been coincided with his journey, seeing that the player has become from that skinny sort of fullback to wing to centre to back row to loose. I even started him at prop today. I think the only position he's not played is hooker. I didn't manage to get him on at hooker, to be fair, but he went to centre for a little while when swift he went off. But yeah, look, just to go through that journey with him and see not only what a player he's become, and the highs that he's had represent his country, but just the bloke that he's become. I say it, and I'm probably bored of me saying it, but if my three boys can become the man that Leroy's become, I'll be extremely proud, Dad, because he's just a champion bloke, both on and off the field, and he gives everything for Huddersfield. He's always at scholarship games, always at academy games. He's always at reserve games, so for us to keep him within our environment, I think's really, really smart from the Huddersfield Giants.
Is he going to get a run at 9 then next week?
I might, if I could get him on there, I'd let him play there just so that he has played every single position. But look, next week we've got a really short turnaround. Unfortunately, when Lee got put into the playoffs, and rightly so, they're giving him a chance to actually compete in the playoffs. Our game got changed to a Friday night. It hasn't been good for us because we've got a really short turnaround now, Sunday to Friday. But they're a really good side of Lee. But we've got one more game. It'd be nice and fitting if we could send Leroy out on a high.
Player at the other end of his career, Kieran Rush, just sort of starting out. I think that's his first Super League try today that capped that game off. Just give us a bit of an insight into him and what you sort of see his future panning out.
I didn't know his first try, to be fair. No, I didn't realise that at the time. I thought he seemed quite excited when he were diving over. Look, he's a player that's obviously come through our ranks. We want to try and keep as many players as we can. You can't always do it in a salary cap sport, but he's somebody that he's probably a little bit more comfortable in the hooking role. He plays both, which makes him a really good 14 for us. Somebody that can play, multiple roles is always good to have in your squad. And obviously with the injuries that we've received to our starting spine and the spine members that were brought in from other clubs, it's meant that he's had a good run at half. And it's probably been a little bit of a bit of a baptism of fire, really, because he's been going into a side where before we got Russ, he's had to be the main man on occasion. So it's only going to be good for his development and his career. And look, we're fingers crossed he can keep progressing. And this experience he's had this year will only do him the world of good.
Cheers, Robbo.
Thank you.
Robbo, just talks about that moment when Leroy kicked over the conversion later on. Was that always in the plans, or how are you feeling that moment?
No, do you know what? He used to be a goal kicker. He kicked a fair few when he was younger. And then the older he got, the amount of knee injuries and other things that he's had, I'm not sure he can even swing his leg that hard anymore. So slowly and surely that role of backup kicker got taken off him. But yeah, look, there were no plan. The plan tonight was just try to get a win for him. Ugly, pretty. I don't think anybody cared as long as we got the win for him.